are live. Welcome to the process. It is Monday, January 31st. Already through January, which is wild. I am Josh Engleman. I'm here to break down an 8-game NBA slate. This whole week looks pretty good from a scheduling perspective. I can't remember if the max is 9 games or 10 games. I think it's 9, but I could be wrong. But it's balanced throughout the week. Should be pretty exciting. All games are locked tonight by 8 o'clock, which is a more interesting slate. It's probably going to be pretty wild from 7 o'clock to 8 o'clock, but you don't have to stick around till 10 o'clock waiting for any additional news. So I'm pretty excited for that. Before we do anything here, though, please hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell so you know when everything goes live. That will help us out a ton. Good morning to everybody. Nice to see people popping up in chat after a big time NFL Sunday. I'm glad everybody is here. We got a lot to talk about. Yes, I did say 8 game. Michael Evans, good morning. Hope your son has a good day at school. It's good to see everybody here. Jay, glad you hit that Luke list with me, man. That's fun stuff. I'm glad that I was able to get that in one and done. That's really helpful. We'll see where we're going this week for Pebble. But we got a lot to talk about today. You guys know the drill. We're going to break down each rotation for every team that's playing. And then we're going to run some crunches, find out what our optimals are for the day. So, feels to me like we should go ahead and get ourselves started. So, let's go ahead and dive into this one. Can we talk to Awesemo about paying you more to cover the weekends? Troy, the amount of money they would have to pay me to do a process show on Saturday and Sunday is more than I make currently. There's no chance I would ever want to work all 7 days. Saturday will never happen. That is just my day off. But once the NFL season's over, I think Sunday strategy shows or potentially Sunday Live Before Locks are going to be in the cards. But no processes. It's tough waking up at 5:15 every morning. Sleeping in on a Saturday is like my favorite thing in the world. But Sunday content will be coming up a little bit more once the NFL season ends. Maybe we can add Sunday contenders, but we'll see. Because we're going to need to fill a little bit of time. Can I talk about the best kind of contest answer? There's no right or wrong answer to that. It sort of depends on what you're trying to do. Pay attention to rake or management fee, either direction you want to go, depending on which site you're playing on. Contest size, bankroll. The answer to these questions are very personally dependent. And the things that I do aren't necessarily the things that everybody should do. I'm just going to jam into the biggest FanDuel strategy show. I'm going to jam into like the biggest FanDuel or DraftKings payout contest, the 100Ks up top. Pretty much no matter what they make the prize or what they make the buy-in. Not everybody's going to be able to do that. So it all depends individually on what your stuff looks like. Yeah, Sunday morning strategy shows used to be like pretty normal, or at least one of the two, where I was either on the NBA strategy show Sunday morning or NBA Live Before Locks Sunday night. That has gone by the wayside a bit, which I'm honestly not mad about. It's fine. Like I enjoy not really having much going on the weekends, but at the same time, it's strategy shows, process show, and contenders in the morning makes up like 3/4 of my work week. So the time's getting put in there pretty easily. Anyway, let's go ahead and dive in. First game up on the slate for today, New Orleans Pelicans, 8.5-point underdogs in Cleveland. We've got questionable tags on Josh Hart, Brandon Ingram, and Joval. At least we know that this is a 7 o'clock start, and we're going to know the deal of this one from the jump. We haven't seen Brandon Ingram in their past 4. We haven't seen Joval in the last 3. Josh Hart missed 1 game, but he has played the past 2. Troy, you want to shake my hand? That's fine. It's going to be a letdown. Not that, like, I have hands, so it's not, you're not going to be let down that you can't. I just mean, it's only me. I promise it's not that fun. All right, so let's project out New Orleans, and this is going to be relatively cut and dry. We are going to have to grab rates, but we have to assume that these guys are just in. At least I think that we do. I mean, Ingram's been questionable for a while. He's got to be closer to coming back. Do I have a weak grip? I don't know. I don't shake a lot of hands anymore. It's been like 2 years since handshaking was just like a normal thing. COVID's changed the game up a little bit. Larry, you're quite welcome. Thanks for being here. All right, so let's go ahead and grab Devontae Graham. We'll give him his 32 minutes. We'll go ahead and say Joe Val comes back, play his 32 minutes with Jackson Hayes as the backup. I'm going to say that Brandon Ingram does come back, and I'm going to say 33 minutes for Brandon Ingram. We'll go ahead and give Herbert Jones. I mean, he's been playing 34. Maybe that's a little bit of because everybody was out, so we'll go 33. And we'll continue to just say 35 for Josh Hart. Nickeil Alexander-Walker will go back to his standard issue 21. Alvarado is the backup point guard. And Garrett Temple playing 22. Or we can go, like 12 and 10 with Gary Clark as well. Musical one, what's up? Now, rates do need to change because I did have Joe Val out of this last one. So let's go ahead and grab the correct rates for this Pelicans team, even though there's a decent chance that what we do right now ends up not mattering. But we'll say Joe Val plays, Brandon Ingram plays, Devontae Graham plays, and Josh Hart plays. To me, that will be the best cross-section of rates for this team. Well, that's not what I want. That is what I want. All right, so Joe Val, Ingram, Graham, and Hart playing in the game. Let's go ahead and grab our sample. I hope everybody had a good weekend. I did indeed have a good weekend. We were supposed to get a bunch of, let me start that over. We were supposed to get a little bit of snow, like an inch of snow, which is a lot for us on Saturday. We got a light dusting. But it got really nice out immediately after that happened. So it all melted by like noon. We were expecting to just have like a lazy day where it was gray and we didn't want to leave the house. And it turns out it didn't end up being that. So weekend was pretty easy. Larry, you want Laffy and I to do more shows again together? Well, they are coming, I promise. When football is done, Laffy will be back to basketball. All right, so rates here for New Orleans, and we'll go pretty quickly because they're not all that big of changes. 29.9% usage for Brandon Ingram when all four of these guys play. 8% assist rate, slightly higher rebounding rate. Devontae Graham, 19.8% usage rate. Assist rate goes down considerably. Rebounding rate doesn't change. Herb Jones does very little when everybody's available. So we'll make those changes. Joe Val's next, and then we do hit Josh Hart, and then we're set. So that is it. A big time usage, actually assist bump for Josh Hart, which I didn't know happened. But that'll cover us for New Orleans. That one's pretty easy. I feel like Steven Adams is one of the few guys that Embiid can't bully in the paint. Do I agree? I mean, yeah, and that like Steven Adams is a strong guy that he can't just go through. That's not the only thing that like slows people down. talent could just be hard to stop. Otherwise, a whole lot of people are going to be trying to get Steven Adams. Anthony, that's good. I'm glad you had a good golf weekend. I didn't have a good golf DFS weekend, but I did have a good outright weekend. 8 game. Generally speaking, it's always 100K up top. They'll drop to 50 on like NFL days, or at least they usually do. But like during the week, it should pretty much always be 100K. And then once it starts to get to like the crappy part of the NBA season, it'll drop back down to 50. So like probably late March. But for all intents and purposes, it's always been 100K. All right, let's tackle Cleveland now because New Orleans took too long. No Lauri Markkanen. Otherwise, everybody else is available. So this should be pretty easy to handle. This is the same rotation we would have had when we built out Cleveland's rotation on Wednesday of last week. So 36 minutes for Darius Garland. Yes. I've got 33 in for Jared Allen. I would like to make that 34. I've got 35 in for Evan Mobley. I'm actually going to make that 36. I have 33. Actually, I have 31 in for Isaac Okoro. And I think that seems fine given what's been going on with people out. Chetty at 18 seems about right. Kevin Love at 21 seems about right. Dean Wade at 28, I guess, seems about right. I mean, he's averaged 25. Maybe we make that 26. Windler played a random 4 minutes. Lamar Stevens' minutes were oddly low. Seems like we're all right here with whatever we've got left. And we definitely don't have to touch any rates. This is what we had in the previous time. So this game is set, which means we can take a look at it now. On the New Orleans side, seems to me best option you're going to find is Joval if he plays on FanDuel at 7,400. And there's really not much else to say for the Pelicans if everybody's back. Hart, Ingram, Jones, Joval, Graham are the guys that you can get to. You're not playing anybody else if the Pelicans are healthy, and you're really not playing too much of the Pelicans even if they're not. Tough defensive matchup, low total, and a team that's had guys out for a couple games, so prices are inflated. On the Cleveland side, very different. Garland, Mobley, and Allen all look basically the same relative to salary on FanDuel. They all have 2 positions, so Mobley and Allen both get power forward. Garland gets point guard, shooting guard. Only 8,100 for Garland on FanDuel. That's $1,000 cheaper than he is on DraftKings. Still okay on DK, but way better on FanDuel. Mobley, 7,100 on FanDuel. He's 7,900 on DraftKings. Just a much better play on FanDuel than he is on DraftKings. And then same for Allen, although the price is basically the same. Allen is only $100 cheaper on FanDuel, but he gets that power forward eligibility, which is a gigantic difference in comparison to DK just having center. But on DraftKings, shooting guard small forward for Isaac Okoro is a little bit interesting at 3,900. Could fall into a couple extra minutes here. And then Dean Wade, depending on how you think this breaks, small forward, power forward, 3,200. There is some value there if low-end value doesn't open up. If low-end value starts to open up, then Dean Wade will get pinched out of that. So, game 1 in the books. On to game 2. Clippers and Pacers. Talk about a game that I don't even want to think about. Morning, K Thumbs. Morning, Jeffrey. All right, so on to the Clippers, who have been just an absolute mess as of late. We've got a Q tag on Nick Batum, who for some reason is listed as the starting shooting guard. Paul George and Kawhi are out, which means Marcus Morris is back, which means we got to do this entire rotation again. I have no idea who started this last game when Batum was out. So by last game, I mean yesterday. So injury report is meaningless. Batum did not play. It was Reggie Jackson, Terrence Mann, Marcus Morris, Amir Coffey, Ivica Zubac. I'm going to assume that is the same starting lineup today that we get. I'm going to assume we get the same starting lineup today that we got yesterday. But I do need to find out what we know about Nick Batum. It's his back. What do you have? A bacchiotomy? So, should we assume that Nick Batum is playing today? You just sit out the front end of the back-to-back? Maybe. We're going to put him in there because I don't know the answer to the other question. So we're going to start with Zubats, who's been playing, about 22 minutes a game. Isaiah Hartenstein's been playing about 20 minutes a game. Give Serge Ibaka the other 6. I'll assume Marcus Morris comes back and plays 28 minutes. I'm going to assume Nick Batum plays like 22. We'll get Reggie Jackson in that starting lineup playing about 28 minutes. Yes, we think that Terrence Mann starts again, plays. This team is a pain in the ass. Oh my God. All right, we'll go 26 to Terrence Mann. Amir Coffey appears to just play the most minutes on this team, so there's 30. We'll give Bledsoe some sort of backup point guard run. That leaves me 20 minutes for Kennard. I don't think that's going to work the way that we wanted it to. Kennard has been pretty firmly playing about 28 minutes, so someone needs to lose some minutes here. I didn't even give Brandon Boston minutes. I mean, everybody's just playing like 24 minutes for this team. What are you supposed to do here? And like some of these... Oh, wait, I accidentally gave Batum 42 minutes. Turns out, probably not going to play 42 minutes. Now it all makes a little bit more sense. So Luke Kennard now in at 28. That'll allow me to give 12 to Brandon Boston, and now it all works out. It's like, holy shit, that's a lot of Luke Kennard. Rates are almost correct. Unfortunately, I don't have them for Marcus Morris being in, and Marcus Morris being in is a very big part of this because he does get a usage bump without having Paul George on the floor. Okay, that's fine. All right, so let's say that this is games that Paul George did not play. Ooh, that should be 1. All right, games that Paul George did not play. Should be coming up at some point in time. That's the plan, at least. All right. Again, we had this argument before, but again, 14-12 the Clippers are in games where Paul George didn't play, and yet they're worse than. Well, apparently they're 12-14 now. 12-14 games that Paul George didn't play. Let's not forget, they're worse than the Rockets, the Magic, and whoever the hell else. Now we do want to add a little bit of a filter. Yeah, you know what? There's enough minutes there that I don't think we actually have to. So let's sort that down to 10 minutes. Wait, that's going to cut off Hartenstein, right? 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Yeah, we need to go all the way down to Hartenstein here. So I got to do it manually. Let's grab these rates for the Clippers. Unfortunately, on this slate, it's going to be important. But I think it helps to detail out the Clippers best because not having Paul George on there is a really big difference. But Marcus Morris just becomes a completely different player when Paul George isn't out there. And that sort of has a trickle-down effect on the rest of this team. So I think it's important for us to take a look at them at full strength. By the way, if you haven't done it yet, hit that like button. We've got 100 people in here, 45 likes. I think we can run that number up a little bit higher. So let's see if we can do that. Let's start with the guy that's played the most minutes with no Paul George on the floor. That would be Terrence Mann, 15.5% usage rate. He doesn't really do anything else from a rates perspective. Reggie Jackson is second. Now, this is another spot where we get a big bump. Reggie Jackson, 29.5% usage rate when Paul George is not on the floor. So we need to go ahead and bump him up. Assist rate goes up as well. Then we get to Eric Bledsoe, who is not important for this particular discussion because he doesn't play enough minutes. Amir Coffey would be next, 15.5% usage rate. Does not really do anything else of value. Marcus Morris, 25.5% usage rate. And Paul George is off the floor, up from his normal 21%. He does get a little bit more in the assist department and a lot of bit more in the rebounding department. Just full on involved incredibly more. Zubats actually with a bit of a usage bump here. Gets a couple extra touches in the post. No real changes after that. Luke Kennard, slight bump in usage. Nothing too crazy. You would think he'd do a little bit more facilitation. It's nothing too crazy. Does get a couple more boards, which is also wild. And then finally, we close with Hartenstein, who's actually a problem in this one. 19.5% usage rate. His DraftKings price is going to be very interesting on a day like today. Now, he actually rebounds less, but even still, I think we're going to like Isaiah Hartenstein as a value play, at least to start the day. We got to look at Indiana now, which might also be a team we need to dig into from a rates perspective because they've had guys in and out quite a bit as of late. So if we look at Indiana, we have no Turner, no Brogdon, no Warren, no McConnell, O'Shea Brissett questionable, Goga questionable. So it actually is the same rotation we had from Indiana the last time I projected them, which would have been Friday, which does mean that I think that I could leave this as is. Although Goga didn't play in either of those games. So I'm going to take Goga's minutes away. In who the hell is Terry Taylor? The Red Rooster is on the Pacers? Should I know who that is? Terry Taylor is a shooting guard. Okay, so if he's playing backup shooting guard minutes, I don't give a shit. We're going to give Karis LeVert 32 minutes, assuming it's competitive. I gave Duarte 30. Maybe I have to knock that down. Dwayne Washington for 18, sure. Jeremy Lamb for 20, sure. Justin Holiday for 28, sure. Lance 16, sure. Brissett 22, sure. Torrey Craig 26. Let's go 23, 25. And then from a backup center perspective, they just kind of played Sabonis all of the minutes plus that over. Like, he played 38 here. They didn't really have to worry about it too much. I guess they just went to O'Shea Brissett here at the center spot. Isaiah Jackson got 18 this last time out on Saturday. Was that blowout run? Because if he didn't come off, I'm willing to just give him the minutes and not care about it. But I need to make sure that he didn't just play like straight blowout run. Because that's not as helpful. And they did lose by 32. And okay, so he did play in the first quarter, and he did get an early third quarter rotation. So I'm going to assume that Isaiah Jackson is basically the backup center for today. So I'm just going to give him those 14 minutes. I think I'm comfortable with Sabonis in at 34. Honestly, maybe if he was willing to play 38 before, I'm going to go to 35 on Sabonis. Rates can all actually stay the same. We've got LeVert, Duarte, Sabonis all entered correctly for right now. So this game is done. Let's look at the Clippers. Again, 1.5 point dogs, 217 total. Yeah. Terry, the tool man, Taylor, and Dwayne, the Rock, Washington on the same team. That's good. For the Clippers, they're all over the place. So Isaiah Hartenstein is 3,300 on DraftKings. That's actually interesting as a value play. However, he's just center eligible, and I think that interest will go away by the time we get to lock. After that, the only guy that we'd want to prioritize would probably be Reggie Jackson, 5,300 on DK, just point guard eligible, but I think he's underpriced for this matchup and for the things that he does without Paul George. There's value in Amir Coffey or Marcus Morris on FanDuel at 5,500. Luke Kennard at 5K on DraftKings, but he's only shooting guard eligible. The only real priority here is Reggie Jackson to me on DK, and then potentially Isaiah Hartenstein as a punt center on DK, depending on what the rest of the center position looks like. For the Pacers, Karis LeVert, 7,200 on FanDuel, shooting guard, small forward eligible. 7,900 on DraftKings, point guard, shooting guard eligible. I think he looks good on both sides, but very clearly better on FanDuel. Chris Duarte, on the other hand, significantly better on DraftKings. He is 5,300 on FanDuel, just small forward eligible. He's 5K on DraftKings, shooting guard, small forward eligible. Being able to put him there, shooting guard, small forward, guard forward utility, and at just 5K, I think he looks pretty reasonable. And then I have no problem going to Sabonis, power forward center, in the high nines across both sites. He's a 1.3 fantasy point per minute guy. Could play 36 plus minutes. No issue whatsoever going to someone like Sabonis. Honestly, kind of feel like I should be giving him 36 minutes. I'll talk to Adam about it, but 35, if that's the case, that'll stick. So 2 games down. Let's keep it moving. We're up to the 7 o'clock time. Lots more to talk about. Memphis at Philly. Memphis 3.5 point dogs in Philadelphia. 219 total. I don't know who's available for this one on either side at this point. So let's scope out Memphis first. We've got no Dylan Brooks still. Zaire Williams off the injury report. Tyus Jones is questionable for health and safety protocols. And I assume we haven't had him yet. Yeah, no. Tyus Jones has been out for 6 straight games. I think we're going to have to assume that he is back. So I'm going to cut this entire Memphis rotation. Ja has been playing 36 minutes a game since Tyus Jones has been out. I don't know if that is the goal or not. I'm going to give him 35 now. I'm going to give Tyus just the backup run for a second. We're going to go to Steven Adams, who's been playing 27 minutes a game in this latest run. That is what I'm going to give him now. Then we can pretty quickly just give Brandon Clark that backup run. These guys basically split the 48 minutes at center. So I'm going to go 27-21 for Steven Adams and Brandon Clark, which will allow me to go to Jaren Jackson for 30 minutes. And then backup 4, I'm going to say, is Killian Tilly for 16. Kyle Anderson would be in for probably 22. We get Zaire Williams in for 26. We get Desmond Bane. I've got too many guys in here, so we're going to have to make a decision about somebody leaving the rotation. It's not going to be Desmond Bane, obviously, so we're going to give him 32 minutes. I think Melton gets those final 18. Now, that would remove Conchar from the rotation. Someone's got to leave it. It's probably Killian Tilly, so I'm going to now take away those 16 minutes from Killian Tilly. We're going to go to 22 still for Kyle Anderson. That leaves me 16 minutes for John Conchar. Now, that I actually think has to stay. In theory, I could take a couple extra minutes away from DeAnthony Melton, which I think is fine to do. That'll take Conchar up to 20. You're not really getting to anything here anyway, so I don't think it matters. But that's Memphis. And rates don't really need to change here. Because everybody else that had been in is in based on my last rotation. So I'm comfortable with what I've got in right now. We'll go to the Philly side. Don't know who's in or back for Philly at this point either. So for Philly, Q tag on Korkmaz. Shake Milton's still out. Everybody else still in. So I don't know why I just went to Phoenix. We would like to go to Philly. That would help a little bit more. So Seth Curry was back, their last one out, played 32 minutes, which means that we sort of need to start this Philly rotation from scratch. Tyrese Maxey continues to play 38 minutes a game. We will go ahead and put Tyrese Maxey in for 38 minutes. I will say that Seth Curry then plays the other 10 plus 24. Embiid immediately gets slotted into his 34 minutes with Andre Drummond playing the backup run. George Niang, even with no Shake Milton still, been averaging about 25 minutes a game. So I'm going to give George Niang those 25. Tobias Harris gets the other 23, plus another 12, takes him up to 35. We saw Thibault only play 19 in this last one, which is just tricky in general. Danny Green probably needs to play 20 minutes. And we can allocate those as needed. I really don't know what to do with Thibault's minutes. Did Thibault start again on Saturday, even with Curry back? Because if he's starting, then it makes me feel a little bit better. Who started the Sixers game on Saturday? It was Maxey, Thibault, Embiid, Curry, Harris. Okay. I'm going to assume that they continue to do that, which means I am going to give Matisse Thybulle 24 minutes. We'll give Danny Green 20 minutes. And that leaves me 16 for Furkan Korkmaz. Gotta be it, I guess, right? If they're willing to start Thybulle, then it's hard to give Korkmaz too much more than that. And I think Danny Green's minutes start to go up a little bit more. So that's Philly. I do think we want to grab the updated rates for Philadelphia with Seth Curry back, because we kind of know what this team is. So in games that Tobias Harris, Seth Curry, Joel Embiid, and Tyrese Maxey played. And I also want to add a player filter of... Actually, I don't even think this will matter, so that'll work. So let's go ahead and grab these updated rates for the Philadelphia 76ers. All right, that's enough of a sample. That should be fine. Leaves Shake on, but I think Shake is a decent proxy for Tyrese Maxey anyway, so no harm, no foul there. We got to make sure we're getting this team right, because they've had so many guys in and out as of late that we got to remember what this team looks like when they are essentially full strength. I say essentially because obviously Ben Simmons not available for this one. All right, so for Philly, we'll start with Tobias Harris, who's played the most minutes in this scenario. 23% usage rate. Doesn't really do anything else. Slightly higher rebounding rate. I will give him the benefit of the doubt there. Seth Curry, 16.8% usage rate. That's where he just becomes basically not useful. Tyrese Maxey, 19.5% usage rate. Assist rate goes down quite a bit. Rebounding rate still fine. I still like Tyrese Maxey because he plays so many minutes, but Embiid here, 35.5% usage rate. They're at full strength. 5.5% assist rate. Big time rebounding bump. Can't totally trust Embiid on a day like today, but he'll still look good as a pay-up option. Thibault does nothing. 10.8% usage. No other stats to be found. George Niang, 16.6% usage rate. No other stats to be found. Danny Green, 13% usage rate. Doesn't do anything else. And finally, Drummond, 17% usage rate. Even coming off the bench, doesn't do anything else. Does rebound like a banshee, though, which is fun. So that's Philly. This game is in the books. We'll look at Memphis. Memphis, not a lot here, I guess. Desmond Bane, 6,400 on FanDuel, 6,100 on DraftKings would be my two, or like the two best options. I think Jaren Jackson for 6,700 looks okay on DK. Ja's just tough. Like, he looks solid at 1.3 fantasy points per minute, but when you only have point guard and you're over 10K, it's just a little bit limiting. No problem going there, just not ideal. On the Philly side, Tyrese Maxey, 6K on FanDuel, 6,600 on DraftKings. I'm just a fan. 38 minutes is so difficult to pass up on. 5x plus 10 for Maxey is 43 fantasy points. I think that's pretty reasonable as a ceiling play at the very least. Let's look at Maxey quickly, just for sanity's sake. Went for 43 on the 27th in 39 minutes. If he goes for 43 right there, that's his 5x plus 10 score. Hit it right here, 6,600, done. On FanDuel, it's even less than that. So you got to go to, I think you got to go to Maxey on a day like today. And then Joel Embiid, 11.4 on FanDuel, 11.8 on DraftKings. He looks good. I just don't know how big of a priority he'll be. We know that we can find centers. Curry and Harris look okay on DraftKings. So let's move it on to game number 4. Fun show so far. Don't be afraid to hit that like button. Where are we at right now? 140 viewers, 72 likes. Looking good. And don't forget, let's do this now. Shout out to Prize Picks. You guys can see the banner top of the screen. Awesemo.com/Prize Picks -promo. You can get yourself 1 free month of Awesemo Plus Platinum. There's a deposit bonus involved for you as well. We've got a free Prize Picks player prop tool on Awesemo.com that will help you build out your cards, because you're basically building parlay cards. You're taking a couple different options of over-unders for points, rebounds, so you can even do it across sports if you want to. Tons to check out at Prize Picks, but you get a free month of Awesemo Plus and a little bit of a deposit bonus, so don't sleep on it. Toronto and Atlanta. Toronto Raptors are 2-point dogs in Atlanta. I have no idea who's available for Toronto as of right now. And the answer is everybody, except for Kem Birch, which makes this very easy to do, or at least it should. Toronto coming off the game on Saturday where all of their starters played 55 minutes. They still didn't play anybody else. Triple overtime, 56, 54, 56, 53, 56, 56, 56. Toronto, you crazy. You crazy. You are totally, totally, totally crazy. I don't know how you guys managed to do it, but you're crazy. So, 40 minutes for Fred VanVleet. Yes, absolutely. 36 minutes for Gary Trent. Yes. 38 minutes for OG Anunoby. Sure. 34 for Scotty Barnes might just be a little bit too low, which isn't great for me. It's not like I have any trouble getting him to begin with, but there's 36. 40 for Pascal Siakam. That works for me. They went to even less Precious Achiuwa and Chris Boucher in this last one. I'm going to do the same, I think. We had Banton play a little bit. I'm going to take Precious down to 22 minutes. Ooh, I got John Collins in for 30. I think that's about as good as we could hope for. 23 for Gallo seems fine. 31 for DeAndre Hunter. I got to take a minute away there because I got to get Bogdanovic's minutes a little higher. Lou Will has actually been playing. I don't know where the hell to get those minutes from, but it doesn't actually matter. So that's Atlanta. So this game is done. On the Toronto side, this should be no surprise, but feel free to play the starters in any sort of mechanism that you want. Siakam, 8,900 on FanDuel. Yes, please. Fred VanVleet for 8,700 across both sites. Yes, please. Anunoby looks solid, maybe a little overpriced on FanDuel. I like Scotty Barnes at 6,600 on FanDuel. I like Gary Trent across both sites. Gets both eligibilities on FanDuel, which helps. Chris Boucher is a potentially viable value option. Precious Achiuwa is a potentially viable value option. Is fine. Max Strus's minutes are just all over the map, but I think 22 is okay. Duncan Robinson for 26 is okay. Caleb Martin for 20 is okay. I can get Gabe Vincent up to 31, which I think is a little bit more reasonable. Tyler Hero for 33 seems fine. So I think Miami is okay. Just pay close attention because if Jimmy Butler happens to be out, everything changes for Miami and we open up a lot more value. On the Boston side, a team that if everybody's in, we won't make any changes and we probably won't like because Miami-Boston is not a great DFS matchup. 210 total might be the lowest on the slate. Same rotation as normal for Boston, it looks. Romeo Langford, the only Q tag, and I could take those minutes and give them pretty easily to Peyton Pritchard, and it won't make a difference. They've basically been going to an 8-man rotation. So what happened in these last two Boston games? Are they actually trying to play an 8-man rotation? They beat the Pelicans by 10. And this is 5 right here, 6, 7, 8. Okay, so Neesmith played slightly and made it 9 this last time out. Against the Hawks, when it was a 16-point game, we got 5, 6, 7. There's 8. 9 was Neesmith again slightly early. Langford didn't play in the first half. So they're kind of going to a 9-man rotation. I mean, yes, I think Miles Turner is basically a good fit everywhere. He fits to every team. They would be really, really, really good defensively. But at the same time, I don't know if they want to give anything up because I don't think they want to close with a center. I think they want to close with Pascal Siakam at the 5. Nice to have you here, Kush God. You seem like a really great person. The Mavs' interest, I don't really understand. I don't think you could play him and Porzingis together. All right, so for Boston, I don't really have anything I want to change here. Other than, I got him in for a 9-man rotation. I think this makes sense. 32 for Marcus Smart, sure. Tatum and Brown are both fine. Schroeder has been playing a little bit less as of late. Maybe we go 2 minutes less to Schroeder, 2 minutes more to Jay Rich, but 28 minutes for Al Horford might be a skosh too high. Grant Williams, though, at 23 isn't all that different. I am going to take 2 minutes away from Al Horford. 31 for Robert Williams. Honestly, probably need to make that 32. I have 1 additional minute. We'll give that to Langford, and if Langford doesn't play, it doesn't matter. Is basketball my favorite sport? It's my favorite sport to cover for DFS. I would rather watch soccer. I just think it's a better product. My fandom for Liverpool is higher than anything else. But in terms of covering a sport, I like talking about basketball more than anything else. All right, Boston and Miami, not much here. Again, keep your eyes on the Jimmy Butler news. For the Miami side of this one, lots to like, oddly enough. Even if Butler's in. Butler looks good, 9,100 on FanDuel, 8,900 on DraftKings. But $7,500 BAM on DK looks good. Just center, which is annoying. He's 8,100 on FanDuel, so slightly more expensive, but he gets power forward. And then $6,200 Tyler Hero on DraftKings. I mean, we're talking about a guy with a 30% usage rate when both Butler and Bam are on the available and Hero's available, and there's no Kyle Lowry. So I still like getting to Tyler Hero. At 6,200, 5x plus 10, we're looking for 41 fantasy points out of Hero. What have we seen as of late? I don't know who was available on the 8th or the 12th, but back-to-back 50-pointers. Just need the shot to fall. I mean, he took 22 shots this last time out. Now, granted, that's 45 minutes, but even still, we're talking about 17 shots. 3 of 14 is a rough day. So I do actually like Miami a little bit. On the Boston side, Robert Williams, 7,400 on FanDuel, power forward center. 7,200 just center on DK is the best option. I don't think you prioritize anything else for Boston, and I'm sure you guys are used to me saying that. This one might look a little interesting, though. Sacramento, 5.5-point underdogs in New York, 214 total. We'll start on the Sacramento side. This team, I'm sure, is confusing in some way. Q tag on De'Aaron Fox, no Bagley, no Terrence Davis. So I'm just going to scratch this entire rotation. We haven't seen Fox in 4 games now. He's been out since Wednesday the 19th. So I think I have to assume that he's back for today. I don't know what else we could possibly do here. If he's not, obviously Halliburton becomes even better. But let's start it off assuming we're getting De'Aaron Fox for 33 minutes. And then for Halliburton, I think 34 minutes probably works. Rashawn Holmes at center, 29 minutes seems about right. No, we have no Bagley here. Damian Jones has been the backup center. In this one, we got Holmes playing 30.8, Jones 16.2. So one additional minute went to Queta, or however you say his name. This one, though, 28 here. We got Len for 7, Damian Jones for 8. Queta finishes it off. 23, 16, 8. That finishes it off. I think the goal is for Damian Jones to play just a competitive rotation. I'm going to give him 15 minutes, and we're going to give the Queta character 4. I think Sacramento signed Moutier as a COVID replacement guy, if I remember correctly. Let me look. I think he did. Yeah, he signed a 10-day. I don't know, like the end of December. All right, rest of Sacramento. We know that we're going to get 35 minutes out of Harrison Barnes. Whether that's at the 4 or the 5, I don't know. No Bagley is interesting. I think that's a pretty important distinction that we don't have Bagley. Because Bagley's been in for a bit. And with no Terrence Davis either, I think we might be in for like a pretty big Chimezie Metu day. Because this last time out, Sacramento lost by 2 to the Sixers. Bagley had been starting, and his backup is, well, depending on who you want to say, we're either calling it Mo Harkless or Chimezie Metu. You can kind of go either direction. It's more likely that it's Metu. I'm going to assume that Metu starts and plays, I don't know, 26 minutes? And maybe we get the other, 22 minutes going to Mo Harkless? Backup point guard run. See if we're right here. So we'll get Davion Mitchell in for backup point guard run. Well, no matter how we want to call this. If we want to say that it's Halliburton is the backup point guard, Mitchell can just be the 2. It's whatever. It's been a while since they've played games where both Fox and Halliburton were available. But when that was happening, now this had no Rashawn Holmes. I don't think that matters. But when that was happening and everybody was in, Davion Mitchell was playing 22 minutes a game. So that's what I'm going to give him for this one, assuming Fox is back. Now that leaves me 20 minutes for Buddy Hield, which we all know is not right. So we're probably taking minutes away from Mo Harkless in this case because we need to get Buddy Hield, I think, to 28 minutes. 21 at the 3 here, which means that I need to move 8 minutes from Barnes at the 3 to the 4, and I need to take 8 minutes away from Mo Harkless, which gives him 14. That makes sense to me. Now, I have Fox in from the last time we played. I don't have Bagley off, but I also don't think that's a distinction I have to care about for right now. So I think that the rates that we have in right now are correct, at which point we're done with Sacramento. Although, I am just going to nerf Metu slightly. Metu is about to be a problem in this one. If he's starting. We need to look at the rest of the Knicks now, who are a problem for a different set of reasons. The New York Knickerbockers. Everybody appears to be healthy. We'll see if anything has changed from a distinction standpoint here. No Derrick Rose, Nerlens Noel probable. So we've got RJ Barrett in for 35 minutes. Okay. We got Julius Randle in for 36 minutes. Okay. We've got Evan Fournier in for 27. Sure. Alec Burks is in for 18. I think that makes some sense. Mitchell Robinson and Nerlens Noel. For all intents and purposes, we'll be splitting the center minutes. Kemba got up to 30 minutes, though, this last time out, which seems troublesome for anybody trying to project this team. Quentin Grimes' minutes were fine. It was quickly that saw less playing time. I'm going to give Kemba 24. I think that's really the only thing that I can do here. Rates all stay the same for the Knicks. Don't have a clue what to do with them. But on the Sacramento side, I can make this a lot bigger. I didn't realize it was so small for everybody. There we go. On the Sacramento side, I like Rashawn Holmes on both sites quite a bit. 5,700 on FanDuel, but he's got power forward eligibility. I think that looks really good. 5K only on DraftKings. I just think that his minutes are pretty firm now, and I don't think he's going to be worried all that much about the Knicks side of it. So 29 minutes of Rashawn Holmes, I like. On the FanDuel side, Chimezie Metu is a 4K center. That's a good price. He probably gets pinched a little bit by just being a center, but that's a good value if he's playing 26 minutes and starting. He's a $3,700 power forward on DraftKings. Now, it's possible they start Mo Harkless. I doubt it. It seems more likely that they would go to Metu. We'll see. If they start Harkless, then Harkless probably plays like 24 minutes. You knock Metu down a little bit, and these guys don't seem as interesting. But I think that we need to be very, very, very interested in Chimezie Metu at a $3,700 power forward price tag if he is starting for Sacramento tonight. That's a good salary. On the Knicks, Randall is 8,300 on FanDuel. Hasn't been playing all that well, but 8,300 power forward center looks good. 9K just power forward on DraftKings seems fine too. Barrett, I think, is reasonable. 6,500 and 7,100. Nothing crazy. If you want to pay the $4,500 price tag for Kemba and hope that he plays 30 minutes, I think that's fine. I think that's totally fine. I just have no feel about how many minutes he's going to play. I don't know. Let's look at that last rotation for the Knicks. They lost by 15 to the Bucks. Kemba played a normal starters rotation. So I got to bump Kemba up to 28. If he's just going to play a normal starters rotation there, then I think that has to be the assumption of that's what he's doing. And if I do that, I think that nerfs quickly a bit. I'm going to take 1 minute away from RJ Barrett. I think we could do something like that. But Barrett played this full run too. Extended first quarter run. No fouls, so there was no issue. You just had a shorter second quarter rotation. I don't really know how to trust it, so I think if we give Kemba 28 minutes, he certainly looks a lot better. He looks pretty comparable to Julius Randle at this point. I'm scared of 28 minutes for Kemba, but if you told me that he was getting 28 today, I would say that he's the best play on the Knicks on FanDuel and still a decent play on DraftKings. We'll see where he pops up in crunches. On to Golden State. 10.5 point favorites in Houston, 230 total. It's a shame we're wasting a Houston game on Golden State. Although if Golden State's got anybody out, or a couple anybody's out, it has the potential to look a bit better. But for Golden State, we've got no Draymond, no Otto Porter, no Iggy, no Wiseman, Q-tag on Bielitsa. So this is actually a little bit better than I would have expected it to be. Last time out for Golden State, they had no Draymond, no Iggy, no Bielitsa, but Otto Porter did play. So let's figure out the rest of this rotation. We're going to give Steph 35 minutes. We've got Looney in for 24. I got to go higher there. I'm going to take him up to 27. Got Bielitsa in for 16. That's what I want if he's able to play. We're going to get Juan Toscano-Anderson in for 10. Kuminga, I have in for 16. I'm not entirely sure I trust that. I think maybe 18 makes some more sense for Kuminga. I got 32 for Wiggins. I think I just need to make that 34 now. We've got 18 for Damian Lee. I think that's pretty reasonable. Honestly, maybe 20 makes more sense. Gary Payton probably makes a little bit more sense at 19. 25 for Jordan Poole, I think is probably wrong. So who started the last game for the Warriors? The answer to that question would be Looney, Wiggins, Porter, Thompson, Curry. So we're taking Porter out of the starting lineup. Logic would tell you that Jordan Poole takes that spot. However, it's possible that they just want to continue to stagger him, and someone like Damian Lee could get the start. So I feel pretty comfortable leaving Jordan Poole at 25 minutes. But at the same time, when Clay missed, Jordan Poole played 30 minutes. And I think that Clay is probably a decent analog in this spot for Otto Porter. Although when Otto Porter was out here, we also still had Iggy. So I'm going to give Poole one additional minute. And that leaves me 9 extra minutes. I don't really have a... They haven't been opening up the rotation that much. Is Moses Moody with the team? If he is, I think it's possible we see Moody. And by all accounts, it appears that he is. I'm going to give Moses Moody 9 minutes. I don't necessarily trust it. It's possible Kuminga takes that starting spot. They can go so many... The problem, Timothy, is that I don't think it matters to the Warriors because their rotation is just going to be whatever they want it to be. It could be Kuminga. It certainly could. I mean, when they had no Bielitsa, Kuminga was Looney's backup. At least in the first half. That's just the thing. Like, there's no way to know. They can start anybody in that fifth spot, and I don't think it matters. I'm going to try to project Kuminga enough that he pops as like a mild value play. So I'm going to bump him up to 22 minutes now and walk back the Moody minutes. I don't think that I really need to change any rates for this team. We've got Steph in, Clay in, Poole in, and Wiggins in. I think everybody else's rates just become whatever the hell is left for this team. So I think we can call it on Golden State. Clearly not comfortable, but... I mean, we have not really seen Jonathan Kuminga play those kind of minutes. Let's go to the Houston side of this one. What do we know for the Rockets? Q tag on Kevin Porter Jr., Christian Wood's off the injury report. So by all accounts, this is just full strength Houston. That works. Do I have KPJ in? Certainly don't. All right, so we do need to correct this for KPJ being out, which is pretty easy to handle. I'm going to assume he plays. Kevin Porter Jr. plays about 32 minutes a game. Jalen Green plays about 30 minutes a game. Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, it could be Damian Lee. It could be Gary Payton. It could be Kuminga. It could be Poole if they wanted it to be. It could. I have no concept of who it's going to actually be. And all those guys probably only play like 20 minutes anyway. So who really cares? We're going to go 32 minutes to Christian Wood. Şengün straight backup. We're going to go, Tate and Martin are going to split 48 minutes at the 4. I'm going to go slightly more to Tate. I think 26-22 makes the most sense. Haywood, good morning. At the 3, we're going to see Eric Gordon playing 32 minutes. Now we can project out the rest of this team. We'll say we've got Josh Christopher in. Actually, is it just Garrison Matthews then? No. We get Garrison Matthews in for 24 minutes. Leaves me 10. Who am I missing? Oh, Armani Brooks. Boom, done. Easy. All right. Houston's rates done. Houston done. Let's grab these rates with Kevin Porter Jr. in, because that will matter a lot. So let's grab this Houston team, and we'll say that Eric Gordon, Christian Wood, Kevin Porter, and Jalen Green all played in the game. Actually, I'm going to add one extra filter to this and say that Daniel Tice is off. I think that actually matters for this team. And I think the sample will still be big enough. Maybe it's not. Wait. Oh, that makes sense. Maybe it would help if I actually ran the damn filter correctly. Because immediately Tice went to the top of it, but it didn't help that I didn't have anything entered correctly. All right, there we go. I think that'll make a little bit more sense now for this team. So let's grab rates for Houston when they are at full strength, because unfortunately, this Houston team matters. And it's because somebody has to do something, which is not the best reasoning in the world, but it is true. Bang. There we go. All right. Rates are in. It's only like a... Here's how bad it was. So, just a little dot onto the pants. But it does look like I doo-dooed out of my thigh. Not ideal. But there it is. All right. Here we go. Rates for Houston when their 4 main guys play. We will start with Eric Gordon because he's actually played the most minutes in this scenario. Is that real? Yeah, I guess it is. Holy shit. Okay. Yeah, this is a nice sample then. All right, so Eric Gordon to start. 17.6% usage rate when all four guys are available. That is way lower than what Eric Gordon normally does. Assist rate down a ton. That's interesting. Next up is Christian Wood, 25% usage rate. As if I needed a reason to get more Christian Wood, here we are. Kevin Porter Jr. Okay. You got to take a break, champ. Go ahead and take 5 minutes, cool off, grab a drink. Oh my God. I didn't even realize it's been that bad. Yeah, you got to just calm down, dude. I didn't realize that it was going to be that many. It didn't seem as ridiculous. Chat, you got to let me know when it's getting too bad, man. Good God. All right, Kevin Porter Jr., 23.8% usage rate. All of his other rates are basically the same. And then Jalen Green, 22.4% usage rate. Does not do much else. Now let's fill out the rest of these guys. So Şengün, 24% usage rate. Assist rate goes down. Garrison Matthews, 14% usage rate. Does not really do anything else. And finally, Jae'Sean Tate next. 20% usage rate. He's just sort of himself, although way more rebounds in these scenarios. And then finally, Kenyon Martin Jr., 16.5% usage rate. Nothing else changes. So that's Houston. So we're done Golden State and Houston. Wow, it's 7:45 already? Wow, we're going the hour and a half today, apparently. Which is fine. It's harder on Mondays because we're off for 2 days. For what it's worth, I have KPJ out for now. No, I don't. He's available to come off of the health and safety protocols, guys. I'm going to assume he does until he doesn't. Do I really need to do this? I guess I do. Guys. Kevin Porter Jr., questionable. Boop. Done. Kevin Porter Jr., projected for 32 minutes. That's what we want. This is happening as it should. On Golden State, $9,300 Steph Curry in a matchup against the Houston Rockets. The problem is, if you think that Steph Curry is going to play 35 minutes, I'm going to take one of his minutes away for how good he looks right now. Because it's the Rockets. No, I think he's going to be in. I have him in. So 9,300 for Steph Curry on FanDuel looks really good. 11K on DraftKings. I just don't know how you want to actually do that. Andrew Wiggins, however, 6K on FanDuel, 6,600 on DraftKings. I think he's actually the best overall Warriors play for today. And I actually like Wiggins on FanDuel more than I like Steph. That I'm not happy about, but doesn't make it any less true. So keep your eye on Andrew Wiggins for today. Unfortunately, an interesting play. On the Houston side, Christian Wood across both sites, 8,200 and 8,600, but he's got power forward eligibility on FanDuel. I am in for some Christian Wood. If Kevin Porter Jr. is able to play today, he is questionable on the injury report coming out of health and safety protocols. 6,200 on FanDuel, point guard, small forward. Great distinction. 6,300 on DraftKings, also good, but just point guard. I think you could take shots on Gordon, Green, and Tate, but Wood and Porter are the clear pieces here. Kevin Porter Jr. is going to rank very highly today on DK for me. Let's close it out. Final game, Portland Trailblazers in Oklahoma City. On the Portland side, I think this is just going to be standard Portland at this point. So we've got no Nance, no Lillard, no Zeller, no Little. So this is what we saw last time out, and the time before that. So last 2 games, Friday and Sunday, would give us this same rotation. 36 minutes for Anthony Simons. Yes. 31 minutes for Nurk. Sure. 33 minutes for Covington. Honestly, that's too low. We're going to go 34. We'll knock back Tony Snell a bit. CJ, 36. Yes. 20 for Ben McLemore. Yes. So everything else that I have in here for Portland is the same rates, same rotation. That'll work. Oh no. Is this about to be bad, SMP? All right. No Shea. I know he's out till the All-Star break. Favors is off of the injury report, but no Shea is, well, that's one way, we got to do this. So, I think we're going to get 34 minutes out of Giddey. We're going to get 34 minutes out of Lou Dort. I mean, Favors is back, and I assume that if Favors is back, he's going to play just like some random amount of minutes. We're pretty confidently just giving Jeremiah Robinson Earl 24 minutes. I'm going to give Derek Favors 12 minutes. And then I'm going to give Muscala, I don't know, like 16. We're going to go to Baisley for, I don't know, 24. We're going to go Kenrich Williams for 26, 25. Trey Mann. Who's played the most minutes in games where Shea didn't play? Because I do think that matters and might help impact our decisions here. Obviously, you would expect Dort and Giddey to be at the top of this list. They've played 5 games where Shea didn't play. Ty Jerome is leading the team in minutes in games that he did not play. So, I think that we're going to go to Ty Jerome. I believe Ty Jerome started some of those games when Shea was out. Starting lineups, Thunder 2022. Where's Basketball Reference? Okay, good. So where are the lineups where Shea didn't play? All right, Shea didn't play here. Ty Jerome started. That's a really weird lineup that also didn't have Dort. Shea didn't play here. Oh, it did. Yeah, Shea didn't play here. Dort did play. That was a Paul Watson game, though. There was no Giddey. Jerome was in. the way down to Maladon here. What a way to close this out. This garbage Oklahoma City team being confusing as shit. Who would want this? Who wants this in their lives? This is the late night hammer, too. Hammer to the face. All right, let's grab these rates. We're up to 755. I haven't even looked. What do we got in here right now? 223 people, 118 likes. You guys are the best. If you are part of the people that have not hit the like button yet, what are you waiting for? Go ahead and do so. We're going to close this out before we run some crunches. So let's do this. Timothy, I have absolutely no idea. Baisley not starting does not help his upside at all. It 1,000% hurts his upside. There is no other distinction you can make. There's no player in the NBA will have a higher upside by not starting. No one. Josh Giddey, 23% usage rate with Shea off. A little bit of an assist rate bump as well. Kenrich Williams, 17.5% usage rate. Doesn't really do anything different. Poku gets a ton of time normally. Don't think that's going to happen today. Lou Dort, 26% usage rate with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander off is interesting. I'm going to go to 25. Lou Dort is about to be a real problem. A real problem. Yes, playing against backups makes you better, Bob. Playing less minutes makes you worse. I want a guy that can play as many minutes as possible. The gap's not that big, I promise. All right, Ty Jerome, 23.5% usage rate in this sample. Sure. Trey Mann, 24% usage rate in this sample. Sure. JRE, 15. Darius Baisley, 18.5. This is a gigantic problem. A gigantic problem. For Portland, I love Portland. CJ looks great on both sites, 7,800 and 7,600. Norm Powell looks great on both sites, 6,700 and 6,400. Anthony Simons looks great on both sites, 6,900, 7K. Covington looks good on both sites. Yusuf Nurkic looks good on FanDuel, okay on DraftKings. The entire Portland starting lineup looks really good against Oklahoma City. Josh Giddey is the best play you're going to find on FanDuel today. 5,700. He's 7,300 on DraftKings and still a good play. Yeah, again, no. You guys are conflating upside with something else for some reason. If you're not able to play 36 minutes because you came off the bench, your upside is not the same as it is if you play 30 minutes off the bench. You can't make up 6 minutes in rates. You're not that good. No one's upside gets better by playing less minutes. Lou Dort, 5K on FanDuel, 6K on DraftKings. Lou Dort and Josh Giddey on FanDuel are legitimate issues today. Kenrich Williams is a value play across both sites. I think Ty Jerome on DraftKings at 3,300 is fixing to be a problem. I kind of feel the same way about Trey Mann. I'm going to take 1 minute away from Ty Jerome, so it's not as aggressive right now. But they all look like really good value plays. And then this is nuts. Let's run crunches. Hit that like button if you haven't done it yet. This is going to be a fun slate. I love that everything locked by 8 o'clock, though. Like, I think it could get pretty wild on the ramp up to 7 o'clock. But at the same time, I think that it's going to happen again then for 7:30 and then for 8. So the real stretch is going to be from 6:30 to 8 o'clock tonight. We're just going to get news on news on news that entire time. So let's run the first crunch. This will be FanDuel. FanDuel Optimal. Hit the like button if you want. On FanDuel, optimal lineups. Here we go. Steph Curry, who I don't think has been in an optimal lineup for me in a hot minute. Anthony Simons, Tyrese Maxey, Josh Giddey, Andrew Wiggins, Lou Dort, Pascal Siakam, Christian Wood, Chimezie Metu. Ilya, no. Oklahoma City's projections will be exactly the same no matter who starts. Metu getting the center optimal start is fun. That's by 0.4 of a point. You can swap out Anthony Simons for Fred VanVleet and Pascal Siakam for Evan Mobley, if you choose to. So that's where we're at for FanDuel Optimal. Let's check out FanDuel Power Rankings. No surprises here. Josh Giddey, Lou Dort funneling their way to the top. I expect both guys to be here. Yeah, Josh Giddey is starting to separate. Josh Giddey very clearly is the best play you're going to find on FanDuel today. I mean, this dude is chalky on just like normal days. So imagine what's going to happen when you take SGA off. Be aware of it. Lou Dort to me is second. Maxey is third. Anthony Simons is fourth. We're getting a lot of guys that I tend to play too much already. This could be a very interesting slate for me. If I'm finally right, I will feel like I got paid off in the best possible way. So Giddey, then Dort, Maxey, Simons, Curry, KPJ, another confusing one, Pascal Siakam and Fred VanVleet, Karis LeVert. That's everybody north of 20% ownership. This is the Josh Engleman slate today. I'm excited. Timothy, thanks for being here. Sherman, thanks for being here. Let's head to FanDuel now, DraftKings now. Close this one out with DraftKings Optimals. Here we go. DraftKings Optimal. Fred VanVleet, 284.8 by 0.2 of a point. Fred VanVleet, Josh Giddey, Lou Dort, Chimezie Metu, Isaiah Hartenstein, Anthony Simons, Norm Powell, and CJ McCollum. Woof, guys. I don't want any part of that. Now, if you want to, you can swap Fred VanVleet. Nope. CJ McCollum and Chimezie Metu for Tyler Hero and Chris Duarte. Rough optimal there. Let's power rank the hell out of DraftKings. Reggie Jackson sorting to the top for reasons that I'm totally forgetting now. Josh Giddey looking like he's going to be the number one play on DK as well, which is interesting. Giddey at the top of DK. Simons, Reggie Jackson, and Maxey are 2, 3, 4. Kenrich Williams, Lou Dort, and Norm Powell knocking on the door of 20%. Got to keep our eye on KPJ, Randall, Wood, VanVleet, and Metu for today. But that right there, folks, covers us for DraftKings. And that covers us for this show. 8 games up, 8 games down. For the rest of the week, here's what we've got. Obviously, contenders, strategy show, all that jazz. Get it? Jazz coming up. 8 games today. 7 games tomorrow, 9 games on Wednesday, 6 games on Thursday, 9 games on Friday. That's a great slate across the board, Monday through Friday. I can tell you now, I'm 100% not playing Friday's slate. I know this for a fact. I've got a buddy coming into town. My wife is leaving for Aruba on Thursday. So this is just going to, like, I am just not going to be around for Friday. So I wanted to let everybody know that now. I'm doing the show, like the strategy show. I don't know if I'm on the strategy show or not. But process show is going to exist Friday morning. I'm not going to be playing the Friday night slate. I just know that I'm going out. I think that I'm probably going to go see the new Jackass movie. So that should be fun. But guys, that'll do it. Thank you for being here. Please hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, all that good stuff. It's been great having you guys. We're on to the next one, though. Make sure you're watching Contenders. Make sure you're watching the strategy show. And I'm on Live Before Lock tonight with Greg. It's probably going to be a wild one because of when all the games lock. It's just going to be news on news on news. So make sure you're around for lock. If you can't be around lock today, I think that's a real problem given when all the games close. So thanks for being here, guys. Another process show in the books. Talk to you later.